sir.
You guys are live, sir.
Hey, everyone.
Well,
Hey, Mama. How's everybody doing tonight?
we got a special guest tonight.
Yeah.
She's
Just hanging out.
one of Scott's girlfriends dropped in.
Yeah. It's always nice to have a side chick
Every guy
that
needs it.
listens and don't talk back.
Yeah, there you go. I've been looking for one of them myself.
Yeah.
Oh, Miss Carol Ann's got giving us looks.
So how was your Thanksgiving, Butch?
It was fattening,
Yeah, I
at
can
least. Yeah. Yours?
It was very good. Hope everybody out there had a good Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
now it's another month till the end of the year and the holidays. So.
Yep. And you know what I like about that most?
What's that?
New Year gets to start all over.
Yep. Absolutely.
And remember every mistake you ever made this year and never make them again.
That's it.
That's the way we plan it, right?
Yep. Plenty that way.
I said plan it, yeah. That's all. So for tonight we're gonna go back to some basics here for the next maybe couple of weeks. There's a lot of interest apparently in how we train the guard dogs, what the business was like and that sort of thing. And like I said, I'd competed in Schutzen, I had trained dogs in Schutzen, French Ring, all that stuff before I opened a guard dog company. And you don't do that sort of stuff in the guard dog business. It was a whole new education. So we're going to start with the basics when you're starting to teach them how to fight. There's some things that, remember, police department, military, sport, and guard dogs. So we've got 4 different disciplines. Police and military are most similar. Sport is its own thing. Guard dogs are something that's pretty much going by the by. People like the old Kohler method of dog training, they just don't have access to it anymore.
Yeah.
But there's reasons that we train the guard dogs, the fighting style. Literally, this is a dog who's on his own, fighting on his own. And, well, I'll let Scott. There's some good examples. Oh, we forgot our lights, didn't we? There's some good examples of the basic styles and the difference between what everyone else does and what you do in the guard dog business. Tell us about the police dogs that you were checking into, Scott.
Yeah, this happened last year, I think. A year ago exactly, basically, in November. In San Diego, they got a call that there was a person, it was someone's family member that was a little bit out of touch, I would say, and he had a knife and he was in the neighborhood with a knife. So the police showed up and it was worse than they thought. He was in the street swinging a 6-inch knife at cars. So they thought, bring the canine out, we'll send the dog out and that'll calm him down. Well, that didn't work out. Thought he'd scare him, but they sent the dog, and this was a 6-year-old German Shepherd canine. And he went in there, tried to bit the guy, but at the same time, the guy was trying to grab the gun off the police officer. The police came in and stabbing the dog in the head. Now he stabbed him in the gut 3 or 4 times, they said, but he had a Kevlar vest. And they said probably saved the dog's life. But they stabbed the dog 6-7 times in the head.
Ooh, did he make it?
He made it. He was to work the next day. Now, with that being said, there's 3 other dogs in that precinct, or that in San Diego, that had attacked by knives, or attacked. 3 other canines that year. One had a part of his colon removed, but all 3 ended up in surgery. They all made it, but
They went to surgery.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So that's one episode. It's kind of opens your eyes a little bit.
Yeah. Well, and so this is a situation. Anything that can happen to a police dog, a military dog, can happen to a security dog, a personal protection dog. Okay. The big difference is going to be, in this case, that dog had a squad of officers there to stop the guy, thank goodness, before he killed him. You got to remember, police dogs' main job, or the way a lot of departments look at it, is The dog is supposed to just keep that potential threat bad guy occupied while everyone else gets there and takes him under control.
And even just those dogs, even they don't bite, just the presence of the dog.
Yeah, most of the time.
Change a lot of people's minds. That dog's in there barking or getting in the guard position.
Yeah, yeah. In fact, dogs are so effective at calming down. I've had some more people ask for more. I forget, someone said they want to hear more guard dog stories. I'll tell you a story about a guard dog incident that happened near the end of this that'll show you how impressive they can be to the general public. But let's get back to basic stuff first. Help me remember, Scott, and I'll tell them about dogs as language teachers.
Yes.
Okay? Mm-hmm. So, the main difference between the way we train is we're training to teach a dog literally a fighting style. It's not a bite so much. It's not just to what do you call, seize the person, not seize isn't the right word. To subdue. It's not just to subdue, yeah. It's to literally be taking control.
Immobilize a threat.
There you go.
Yeah.
All by yourself. And like if you check out the Canine Pro Sports Rule Book, the judging criteria for the bite work is real simple. The judges judge you and your dog on your ability to intimidate, dominate, and control the movement of the attacker. So that's what a guard dog has to do. One way we do that is in the way they bite, and the major difference between the sports and the guard dogs are our guard dogs working by themselves at night. We don't want them getting stabbed 6 times in the head, right? So if they're out of arm's reach at all times, we don't have to worry about it. If they run in and they happen to nail somebody on the leg, and that person reaches down, grabs the collar, pulls it up high, twists it, count to 15, dog's passed out. Count to 22, dog's dead. Poof, they're gone. So what we're trying to develop in the dog is a really strong pull. They take the bite, it's got to be full, and it's got to be hard. So we've got to use both prey and defense drive when we're training a guard dog. We want to train them in defense. That assures us that bite's going to be so hard that person can't slip out of the bite, which means if there's a leg bite, when they jerk back, that person's going down.
True story. It happens.
You've seen it in practice, haven't you?
I've eaten dirt more than once.
Have you been there?
I've been there. You're done.
Yeah, another thing you can do.
I'm trying to get back up. He's down there. He's got the upper hand. You're on the ground. He's got the upper hand.
Yeah.
You're in his territory now.
That's right.
You know,
and what happens when you try to get back up?
They come right back on top of you.
Yeah.
You can't. They'll come on top of you, or they'll keep dragging you across the yard.
Yeah.
You can't.
That's it. You're
Once
helpless.
you lose your balance and your point of gravity, your equilibrium, you're done. There's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
And see, another thing you need to realize, what he's telling you is like guard dogs. This actually is part of our training with personal protection dogs too. Because same thing, if you have to use a dog to bite, and you're on the end of that leash, that dog's going to bite that suspect or that criminal, whoever it is, and pull him to the ground and immobilizing him. Mm-hmm. Take care of one guy. If there's a couple people, you have the upper hand. The dog will do what it has to do.
Right.
You're still within your 6-foot range. Your perpetrator's on the ground. Anything else coming, you just got to. It's just little hand techniques you got to learn. The dog will keep your range and keep you safe. Yep. And keep your dog safe also.
Yep. And in our guard dog business, we train the dogs to come off and go back, re-bite in case we have more people coming. But I've done labor strikes. We had one incident where we actually went between two gangs. It was a Spanish gang and a black gang that were going to clear this turf, and the turf happened to be a part of a shopping center where my company was doing the security. And I can guarantee you, even though we train the dogs to come off of this bite and re-bite that one if needed, when these punks see a dog take down one of their own, They don't hang around. They're like pigs, you know, in a hog hunt. You know, they're all them wild boars are running wild hogs running in a pack, and you send your dog in and he nails one of them, and you know, I've heard people say, "What if the others come and get him?" They ain't. They're running for their own skin, you know. So that same thing can happen, but the important thing is the dog's training style, fighting style, is such that he's never in danger in the first place. If he bites upstairs, the same thing could happen if he jumped up and just hung there, which is, you know, something. In Schutzhund, they do that on the sleeve because it allows the judge a better viewpoint to see the fullness of the bite, the depth, how much they're compressing that sleeve. Mm-hmm. You don't care about the fullness of the bite when something's after you, right?
Your dog goes up high. No, the dog can go up high, but the dog will come, like on a leg bite, the dog will come back, pull. Then right. you're out of it.
Right.
If he's hanging there, you can just grab the dog and just it hurts for a minute, but it won't hurt for a few seconds later.
That's right. That's right.
And you know, the dog does go high and starts pulling. The pressure does come over to hit. The dog will rebite and do the same type of reaction after the dog is bit.
Right. Right.
See, the whole thing is, what breed of dog was that, Butch, that used to do that? The older dogs, remember? The dogs would pull.
The pull?
Back in the old days. Like, I'm talking like the 1800s, way before everything.
Ooh.
The bulldogs?
No, there were several. The Spanish Mastiff was real good at it.
Mastiffs, that's what it was. The Mastiffs, primary, hit and just pull back, pull back.
Right.
And you can teach a dog anything, but techniques that we were using to show these handlers how to use these dogs the right way. And the whole, how can I say this? The whole, not the system, but the whole, on the bite.
Techniques.
The whole techniques, I'm sorry. A lot of turkey guys get, forgive me, I'm not over it. All the techniques that are used while training these dogs becomes natural to them.
Right.
Whether it's a Mastiff, Shepherd, a Rottie, it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm. And we'll use, just like you use their natural survival drives, prey and defense, to teach them how to bite and to get the most out of the bite, to get the full mouth of the prey drive, but the intensity, the crushing power of the defense. We use these same drives to manipulate the dog in the fighting styles. And like Scott just pointed out, Mastiffs, think about it, the Mastiffs in war go back to the Egyptians and the Romans, and the way the Romans would fight. They'd go to these new countries they're trying to conquer, and the standard thing in those days was for the army to line up, they all face each other. They have the archers sitting in the back and they start shooting arrows at each other. Then when the enemy thought they'd softened up the Romans enough, they'd run their cavalry in on them. And what the innovative thing that the Romans did was they had about 100 or 200 Mastiffs. And as those horses came running across the plains, they turned those dogs loose. The Mastiffs being a defensive dog, the worst thing that they can do is set them up to get hit. They instinctually pull back. I don't know if they just bred them that way or because they're defensive, they naturally did it that way. But think of it, the most effective thing they could do was run charging into those horses, grab the cavalryman by his foot, leg, whatever.
Dodge the horse altogether. Just rip him off the horse.
Yep. So some breeds are going to Mastiffs are going to be defensive and they're going to naturally pull. So that's an easy one. The herding dogs, you can make them go either way. They're not as prone to the pulling as the Mastiffs.
Their prey drive is higher.
Their prey drive is higher, right. But then you have that other group that's got high prey drive who also don't pull, and that's the terriers. They tend to hit and just shake and try to kill. So what we're going to try to do when we start off all our dogs is first teach them how to get their feet on the ground. I mean, let's face it, in real life, if you sent your dog with somebody and he nails him in his arm, the last thing this person is going to do is pick the dog up and go, hey, 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 and go walking and making like he's hitting him. I mean, 80 pounds sunk plumb to your bones is going to make you think a whole different way of things, right?
But there still is that contention out there.
Yes.
You never know.
Oh yeah, you got the good ones that can stand up, and you got the crazy ones like this guy with a knife. And that's like Scott said, you don't know. You know, there's most prisons, I'm assuming, I'm just going by Texas prisons right now, that have bloodhounds and such for tracking in case someone escapes. Well, who do you think they get to practice on? The prisoners. When that prisoner gets out of if he's been the one running from the bloodhounds and they're running him up a tree and every now and then he's getting bit. Of course they have equipment on. But, you know, not only while he was in prison did he learn a whole lot more about picking locks, he probably also learned a whole lot more about how to beat a dog. Mm-hmm. So, you know, let's don't take a chance. I mean, let's face it.
Cover all your bases. Cover all your bases.
Yeah. And if you send your dog on somebody and he's just high enough to be a little bit numb and he nails you, or your dog nails him, and dog passes out, he might be a little upset with you when he peels your dog off his arm. So where do you go from there? What we got, Carol Ann?
A question, can they ask now, or do you want to wait till
Let's do it now. We'll see what it feels like when they ask.
Alrighty, it says, can biting and letting go to bite the aggressive limb be taught? If yes, how do you teach it? It seems everywhere I go, once the dog is taught to grip correctly, that part is lost and forgotten.
It's too many parts for me. Rebite, what now?
When we rebite,
Teach?
Go ahead.
What he's asking is, his dog has been taught to bite and not let that bite go. We teach
on the rebites,
on
yeah.
a rebite.
He wants to know if you can reteach his dog.
That dog.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
You teach a dog to rebite, to guard, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Call off.
Call off. But another thing is, a lot of dogs will bite and stay on the bite.
Yep.
You come over, we got videos of this. Someone come over with a brick, try to hit the dog won't come off the bite. It'll dodge it, or try to dodge it.
Which is another fighting style.
Yes, but dogs, as soon as that arm moves, that dog drops that arm and comes and hits him right in the shoulder and stops that arm right there. So they can rebite, and some of that is natural instinct, but you can also teach them by command to rebite, to out the guard and to rebite, or just to guard, or you can go both ways.
Yeah.
You know.
And one reason, and that was who was that asked that question, Carol Ann?
Jose.
One reason that you don't see the rebiting and thing is because dogs in defense drive naturally rebite. If they got a big old, grizzly bear coming in the cave, they'll hit them hard on the kneecap, but to keep from getting swatted, they will instinctively release and rebite somewhere else. A dog in fighting dogs, if one's losing, he'll naturally turn loose and rebite somewhere else. That's a factor of defense drive, and one reason it's not seen in this country much is because we don't hardly ever use defense to train.
One more question.
Molly?
Yeah. Zeus, the Tavern that we.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
She said, my Zeus has always pulled back. Is that an instinctive with his breed?
I think it's instinctive with most breeds. It's just we train them to hang. So it's very instinctual. It's all right. The greatest form of training, the most common form of training for all animals and dogs, all creatures in the world, is play. All dogs learn to hunt. All tigers learn to hunt when playing as cubs, right? Mm-hmm. And what do? They play tug of war.
Pull.
Pull. So it's a natural thing. We take dogs out of that natural fighting element that they learn to get prey by training them the way we do and by elevating the prey drive and not putting enough emphasis on the defense drive.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, so the main thing we want to do, is consider where are you going to go. Remember, if you're going, and you can train both. The beauty of training a guard dog style is you can still go to the sport field. Now, some of the decoys on the sport field might not appreciate you because it's going to be a whole new style of the way the dog. You know, we took one of our pro sports dogs, went to an American Bulldog trial, and they were doing a protection thing, and the person, apparently the agitator there, knew me, and the first thing he asked, because they're working in a full suit, and the first thing he asked the handler of this dog was, where does he bite? To which I replied, well, wherever you show him, because that's another thing that our agitators like Scott are going to have to learn when they're working guard dogs, because we don't want the dog targeting. The worst thing you can do for a protection dog that you're going to use on the street is teach them to target. You want them open. It's teaching a dog to target or bite in one place is like training a boxer to only throw a left jab.
Yep.
And then he goes in the ring and that right hook knocks him out. So you need your dog's versatility, and the way we train our agitators is they put the dog on the bite, on the position and the body part that they want the dog to bite. Right? Simple as that.
Absolutely.
So
keep it fresh.
There you go. That's the way to put it.
Then the dog don't get sleep happy. He doesn't get in a basic pattern.
Yeah.
You know, says leg bites, you know, runoffs. Even just changing the sleeves. If you do sleeves, show them something different.
Yeah. And you can train with sleeve. They did it for a century or two without making them Jew junkies, sleeve happy, whatever you want to call it, if you know how to go about the training techniques. And that's what we're trying to do, is open up a whole new form of training that hasn't been done or seen in this country probably since the 60s.
When a dog tears you down, they won't take his eyes off. You don't care about. They don't care. You'll know. They don't care about the sleep.
No.
They're staring you down. Whatever you do, they're always looking at you. And whatever you throw in front of them, they're going to eat it.
Right.
And
that's it. So, and I promised a guard dog story. This is one of my favorite incidences that happened. We had a situation in El Paso. We had a patrol officer who, we had the local hospital there, Thomason Hospital. It was a lot of things. They had a little area they had a sectioned off there for the criminally insane that were being transported back and forth and such, because it's on a major east-west highway. And so there was a lot, and it was the hospital itself is like 200 yards from the Mexican border, Rio Grande. So they had problems in this particular phase time. El Paso was going through a huge crime wave, especially with car thefts. And one of them was they would come across the river and they would go to the cars at midnight, parked at the hospital, and drive them across the border. So they hired my company to patrol with a dog. Now there's a unique thing about this hospital I've never seen at any hospital anywhere else. When you pull into the hospital and drive up the driveway, to your right is a big, beautiful, modern hospital. To your left, you want to let them in, Carol Ann? To your left, as you're pulling up the driveway, is a graveyard.
graveyard. How fitting.
How fitting. So I'm sure there were people who wondered as they were pulling in, am I going to live through this operation? You know, but if you didn't, the graveyard was right there. You didn't have to wait.
Right.
You know. So anyway, I get this call about 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and it was the head of security for the hospital. They woke him up because he was a daytime guy. He said there had been one of the criminally insane folks that they had gone to check into that section of that armored, secure section of the hospital. Somehow it slipped out, and they called, Paso PD and all that. This guy had run into the graveyard section, and it was fenced around the back, and they pulled patrol cars all around the back, and they were trying to get him. They had the whole place surrounded. They were trying to get this guy to come out. And the rap sheet on him said he didn't speak any English. And the 3 or 4 officers that were up front yelling at him were all Anglo gringos who spoke no Spanish. So Paul, the head of security there, called me and said, "Hey Butch, they want to know if they can use your canine officer and his dog to go in and, sniff this guy out, so they can find him." And I thought, well, what is he armed? They said, well, they don't know. That's part of the problem. That's why they don't want to go into a dark graveyard at 1:32 in the morning and find out that somehow when he escaped, he also maybe snatched somebody's gun. They just didn't know. So I said, "I'll tell you what, Paul, just call, I forget who the guard was, just call him over there and just have the loudest officer there scream out, El Paso Police Department, if you don't come out, we're going to send in the dog. If you don't come out, we're going to send in the dog. One more warning, we'll send in the dog." And Paul says, "Butch, he doesn't speak English." I said, "I don't care. Just try that for me. I'm getting up, and I'm headed up there right now. But tell him to go ahead and try that right now." So I jump in my little pickup, and I'm driving up to the hospital, and it takes me about 20 minutes to get there probably. And when I get there, all the lights on the cars are turned off. There doesn't seem to be nothing going on. There's a whole bunch of people parked at the entrance to the criminal insane entrance. And I walk up there, and Albert, my guard, I say, "Hey Albert, what happened?" He said, "Well, I just did like you said." I said, "Come out or I'll send in the dog, come out or I'll send in the dog." And then all of a sudden we heard somebody holler, I forget the word in Spanish, but I give up, I give up. And this guy stands up with his hands up in the air and starts walking out. And one of the officers walked over to me and said, "Man, I can't believe." And I said, "A little known quality, talent that guard dogs have is they can teach anyone English if you're about to get their butt bit."
Yeah. Yes.
So just the word dog is understood internationally.
I'm sure he said that, and the dog gave a little, "Hey, how's it going?" too, didn't he?
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure he did. I'm sure he
I
did.
got
So,
a gentleman from Top Dog Canine Training on, and he put, "It is a lost art to train real dogs to attack the arm with a weapon, pull the arm out straight, no push and no inside biceps.
Huh.
I've learned from WW2 trainers and, I don't know if I can say this right, Gulag prison dog
Gulag.
trainers.
Yeah.
Most don't know."
He's right.
Mm-hmm.
Who is that? Top Dog Canine? Mm-hmm. Appreciate you calling in. I really do on that one, Top Dog. And that's exactly the truth. That's that little known training technique that was used, like I just said, back from the 60s back. And still was, again, I learned it because of the guard dog business, and that's almost died too. So thanks for dropping in, buddy. Glad you're watching.
Absolutely.
So, well, we got anything else besides getting ready for Christmas?
Training, and more training.
Training, more training.
Yeah.
And we do. Don't forget Saturday morning. Anyone here in the local area, if you want to come out and evaluate your dog, we don't charge it. And Scott's always looking for new dogs to bite him. So
Absolutely.
10 a.m. everybody.
10 a.m. Saturday mornings.
Yep. 10 a.m. Saturday mornings. The public's welcome. Come join us anytime you feel like it. And I guess until then, what will you say there, Scott?
Just remember, it's all about the dogs.
It's all about the dogs.
Every day.
Every day.
You'll have a good one.
See you next week, folks.